Well, what's the genesis story? I love hearing the founding story. And how did you guys come up with the name Jeneral? Whose idea was it?
Oh, it's plagiarism, 100%. My wife Jen has an art company called General Arts. She's like wicked smart, so I'm like, we're gonna take that name.
What got you into the business? I mean, I don't think you have the traditional path, and I just love exploring these founder arcs. So
we ended up starting the company because we're starting a family, and it's been plumbing over 20 years. I'm a really good plumber, but I don't know a ton about business. I never thought we were actually gonna like make a real push for it, because working full time and then doing like jobs on the side is great, just cash in your pocket, no real responsibilities.
All right, welcome to the Superpro podcast, where we hear the founding stories and key strategies for success of some of the most amazing home service businesses out there, from company founders themselves. I'm Roland Langberg. I'm your host and also co-founder of House Call Pro. Today, we've got a great guest. We have Kris Record, and he is the owner and founder of Jeneral Plumbing. And we have Jen as well, which kind of like plays into the name, which is cool, because if you can see the logo on his shirt, it says Jeneral Plumbing with a J. They're a plumbing and water treatment business. They're based out of Westford, Massachusetts, which is just north of Boston. I've never been there before, but that's a cool metro area. And they're on track for about $600K with an employee, 2 VAs, and a van on the road. Kris, Jen, thank you guys for coming on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what's the genesis story? I love hearing the founding story. And how did you guys come up with the name Jeneral? Whose idea was it?
Oh, it's plagiarism, 100%. My wife Jen has an art company called General Arts. She's like wicked smart, so I'm like, we're gonna take that name.
She sounds like the marketer of the bunch. But what got you into the business? I mean, I don't think you have the traditional path, and I just love exploring these founder arcs. So why get in the business? How'd you kind of make that first leap, that first decision to decide this is what you want to do? Go build your business.
So it's important to understand how I make decisions. And when I was like, 14, 15 years old in high school, I went to a trade school. So we had to like choose your shop, and a teacher walked up to me and says, "Hey, we'd like to have you in plumbing." So that's how I became a plumber. All right. So that's how I make my decisions. So we ended up starting the company because we're starting a family, and I've been plumbing over 20 years. I'm a really good plumber, but I don't know, a ton about business. Like, we've used House Call Pro. We've used other platforms similar to this when I worked for other, employers. Yeah. But I never thought we were actually going to like make a real push for it, because working full time and then doing like jobs on the side is great. Just cash in your pocket, no real responsibilities. Everything's cool. But then when the family is involved, things change. Then you're looking to not just like pay the bills, but to build something that you can pass off. It's like your legacy, but not your legacy at the same time.
Sure. Yeah. It's a family legacy.
Yeah.
And, you guys have a kind of a cool motto, or maybe not a motto, maybe more like a philosophy, but it's do more with less, right? Which is, you guys are growing fast, but you're still a small company. But if you take a look at your revenue numbers, like your revenue per truck is astronomical. So something you're doing, your philosophy, they line up. So what does that mean? And what is that kind of like the learnings from maybe other business owners that are looking to do more with less? What does that mean?
I mean, Kris always had great ideas working for other people. He's just always been somebody with great ideas. I think, trying to answer the previous question, that's another thing that kind of pushed him into, it's like, well, if nobody's going to take my ideas or listen to my ideas, I'm just going to do them myself. But yes, also life is expensive. And how we have been able to build it, I can't take any credit for it at all. It's really just Kris and his great ideas, and learning a lot of AI and how to work more efficiently and work smarter, not harder. What did you want to say about it? I want to cut you off.
To do more with less, just pretend like you're poor.
We don't have to pretend.
Yeah. You're poor. You don't want to be poor. So how do I make that happen? And you have to get creative. So if you don't have natural creativity, it's going to be really, really rough. So I know a lot of plumbers that are really good plumbers, but they can't think outside the box.
Sure.
I'm the opposite, where I spend most of my time outside of the box. Like, how can we improve? How do we do better? So that's kind of the foundation of do more with less. Is like, how do we get to where we want without, spending millions of dollars that we don't have, or getting investors that we now have to pay back, which I also don't want to do. So,
yeah. So give me like a concrete example of something that maybe like came up or happened where you're like, aha, I got a creative solution for this. Like, walk me through just a situation or something that happened.
So I worked for a company that had a plumbing service company they did plumbing, electrical, HVAC. They had 100 employees, massive, tons of different departments and all of these people doing all these different things. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what can we do better here? Because like their price had to be super high because their overhead was high, right? So it's not a mystery, like high overhead, high price for the customer. It's like, how do we do less with that? So I literally just took a piece of paper and I drew stuff. It's not quite worthy of the refrigerator, but just picture a table with a bunch of chairs are on that table. Each chair represents one aspect of a business. So I would go through and say, all right, this is what we need, and try to fill in each one of those chairs. And say, well, what can we do that can be automated? What can we do that can be digital? What do we have to do that's in person? And then I start moving those chairs. So they're own little tables in groups, little clusters. And then with that, then I started using AI to generate what I thought was like these good outlines to make these things happen where they now make sense, where we don't need an office building. We can work remotely. We can have one person doing like 5 different jobs at once because they're using the robots. Mm-hmm. That's what I call AI, robots.
Robots, the agents, the robots.
Yeah,
the
Terminators.
overlord. The crimes, I mean, it takes a lot to just have the I would almost say like the agency and the autonomy to do that, especially if you're in someone else's business. But when that starts to happen, oftentimes you leave and start to do your own business because you can see what can be done, and the cat's out of the bag. At that point. What did you guys do? Kind of, you started in 23, joined House Call Pro in kind of 24ish. What do you guys day one? What did you guys systematize? What did you automate? What was like the low hanging fruit where you're like, aha, this might be a no brainer for me, but for others, maybe it's not a no brainer.
So I'm assuming if people are listening to this and watching this, they're House Call Pro users. And if you're not, you really should be, because if you're still doing stuff with paper and pencil, we'll end up buying a company eventually. That's how that's going to work. So that's like the very first thing is you need a system in place that can like store all this info, like the customer info, be able to do estimates on site, in person. It's some like crazy statistic where it's like 80 or 85% chance of losing that sale if I have to leave and then send an estimate later. So we want to be able to close that right then. So you need software to do that. And you could build your own, but that's very time consuming and very expensive. They have programs that are already out there. So House Call Pro is like one. So you start with a system, something like that. It's already baked into the platform now. Before people like starting out like a sole proprietor, oh, I can't afford it. Yes, you can. That now becomes part of the price. Now you can afford it. Done. Like you have to think like that. Like here's the tools that I need.
Because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, a couple $100 a month. That's gonna like stink me. It's too expensive. Like, how do you explain that to like? How did you rationalize it? Because for you, it seems like duh, like we just do it. Part of price. But like you say it so simply, I think you probably have a better explanation.
I can tell you that time is money. So if you're not implementing something to do the work for you, even if it does cost, then you're going to end up losing it anyways by losing customers if you're not efficient.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, if you think a couple $100 a month, I mean, that's half of a job, an average service ticket. So like, what's the likelihood in 30 days you would lose half of a job if you're on pen and paper? Highly likely, if not way more than that, and so it pays for itself day one, but I think it is a matter of perspective. And I think when you're first starting a business, it's kind of hard to start, signing up for stuff, and, you're paying monthly, and now you got to like work to overcome that hurdle to get past your break even point, on a monthly basis to get into the black. What about, beyond that? What's something that you found that automating as a smaller shop that's highly efficient has been like a really big gain for you guys?
A price book. So a lot of people, they just don't have one. They're just kind of making it up on the fly. I think materials are this. I think it'll take that long. Like, let's just throw that together. Or you're buying someone else's price book and then you're spending a ton of time like tweaking that. You have to have your own for your own business. Like, how it runs, what it takes. Like, you have to build that. But that's very, very time consuming. We tracked hours in ClickUp. I had like over 200 hours building a price book.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. How did you go about so you needed one and then you started just like building it? Like, what were the basic foundation building blocks to then even get going? Because I feel like that's the struggle where most people are like, I'll just buy something. So how did you overcome that hump?
So it's all visual, right? You walk into a bathroom, you look around, what is in that bathroom? You do this at your own house even. Like, what is in there? Well, how much does it cost to do the toilet? How much does it cost to replace a valve, a faucet? Let's start with the visual stuff that you can see. That's the low hanging fruit. You start making like basic prices and you group them by category: bathroom, kitchen, water heating, whatever. You just kind of start grouping them like that. We're using QuickBooks as our first version of a price book, just putting stuff in there, and that's what we were like building out. And then you need descriptions. Otherwise you just sound kind of foolish in the customer. Like, here's my estimate. It just says put toilet in.
Yeah.
So essentially, as he's writing them out, it's kind of like if he's trying to explain something to me, which my dad was a plumber and had his own business. So I probably shame him for not knowing anything about plumbing. But the way, if I were to ask him a question, it was kind of like, well, shouldn't you know this stuff? Coming from my dad, because plumbing is his entire life. The way Kris has been able to explain things to me, like how a water heater works. Like, this isn't normal knowledge that people just have. This is why they pay money for people to come and fix it. So when he's trying to think of descriptions, he has to tie that into it, because we don't know and we don't know why we need it. And in that description, it might overwhelm a customer, but at the same time, like, you can't buy peace of mind. So if you're explaining, hey, this is what this is why we would need to do it, and this is how it can benefit you and what it's used for, that breaks it down to really not just enhance understanding on the customer's part, but give them peace of mind so they can know where their money's going to.
I love the way you broke that down. And I think some people really struggle with writing the descriptions, not just like the headline, which is like, fix toilet flapper valve. Well, like, why?
That's the next part, though, is the descriptions. That's the most time consuming part, because you have to write something that's customer facing, that is easy to read and understand. And that's where we started using the AI, like really started leaning in. We started with ChatGPT, which is awesome for hallucinations and just making up stuff that doesn't exist. It's awesome. But what you do is you take your little price book that you're building out and you have your headings, we're going to replace this toilet or a flapper or whatever it is, like, and you just make that list in ChatGPT. And it's like, I want, maybe 100 to 200 word descriptions for each one of these items, how I would install this and tell it customer facing. It's prompting. You have to learn how to prompt, how to tell the robots what to do. And then it just generates your whole price book descriptions. And now you're just copy and pasting. So you can spend hours and hours and hours, or you just let the robots do it. And now you just do small edits, but it builds it out super fast.
Yeah, I think that QA part, which is like the quality assurance, but like the techno lingo for like, you can't just 100% blindly trust all the things, but you got to give it some good examples. So my advice would be, write out some of the ways that you would do it for 3 to 5 items in your price book. The how, the why. So it can pick up the tone, the voice, the way you like things described, and the structure of it. And so if you give AI in the prompt, and you ask it to build a price book for you, how you like it done, and some good examples, it's going to produce way better results. Otherwise, it's going to hallucinate, it's going to go left, it's going to go right, it's going to sound robotic and weird. And then at the end of it, you got to do the QA, which is like, go through the price book. All you got to do is read all the things. And like Kris said, You probably went in and tweaked some of the things and like, yeah, I don't say that, but I say this, or like, this doesn't make sense, or I do that. And I think that's a way where I wouldn't say so you can shortcut building a price book, because you still have to think about how long does it take you to do certain things, right? And what's the base material cost of some of the things. But I think those are the parts that are more known, and the busy work and finding the right picture to upload in the price book, and you can generate those now, by the way, especially with Nano Banana. You can do really cool generate.
Yep.
You can build stuff. So anyways, you can really do it really right. But I feel like you're right. People don't invest enough in their price book, and they're just throwing stuff out there on the fly. And they're like, I don't know, $100 an hour, it'd probably take me 5 hours, $200 of materials. All right, here's your quote, $700. But if you're out there doing that, you're probably you're not being efficient with your time, but B, over time, material costs might change, and you can't easily change that. You might have underestimated or overestimated, because it's really easy for a human to, have their most recent bias in there. Over time, you want to know that 95% of times it lies between this many hours and this many hours. So choose the high hour mark, and then you're going to make money on all the time. And yeah, sometimes you're going to lose your butt. You're going to totally lose it on some of these crazy jobs, and then probably overcharge with some of the other ones. But it's easier and better to tell a customer, you know what, Kris, I like you. Why don't I give you a 50% discount? Because it was just like super easy. People always like it that way rather than reverse, where it's like, I didn't charge you enough. I got to bill you for another 2 hours, Kris. You're like, what? Right. So it was easier to go down than up. As you're building your business, how are you sourcing your jobs? Where are they coming from? How does the market side of your business work?
We have to do a better job tracking that.
It's it feels like a lot of them come from hell lately. So we started with Thumbtack, and it got us growing. It did its job, but it was very expensive and not very efficient at all.
Yeah.
So we started with that, and then we developed a new idea called like the waterfall effect. We use a lot of social media now, and we do free giveaways on social media. Like last year, we gave away an RO installation, everything. So here's the RO, here's the install, here's how we do it. You just share this post, tag your friends, and whoever has the most, every time you tag someone.
Like our page.
Yeah, like the page. Like each one is worth an entry. We do a little random drawing. If you shade it 150 times, you're in there 150. So we did that. That went, almost 200 followers for just one quick giveaway.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. And then that's what started this thing, because we want to get the CAC, right, the customer acquisition cost. We want to get that as low as possible, right? So if you're starting out, you don't know what I'm talking about, this is how much it's going to cost you to get a new customer that you don't know. This is important because this is where you're going to spend a ton of money. So using social media is relatively free. So we use something called Buffer. That's like Hootsuite. You put everything, all your social media, your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that, put it in that. You post once and it sends them everywhere. So the waterfall is real simple. We go out to our customer's house. We go through the whole estimate with them. We take the photos. We take the videos of the before and after. We upload all that stuff to House Call Pro. Then we pull it back out of House Call Pro. Now we have the city or town it's located, the type of job it's located. These now get generated into social media posts. They get generated into blogs, and they get generated into landing pages for the website. So we're reusing the content as we get it. So you're not thinking, what should I post next week? You're doing it right now. Yeah.
Whole library. You're generating it every single job you do.
Yeah. We took 200 estimates, like recordings, and we got 600 blog posts out of them. Real interactions. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this is great because, as a smaller company, you would think you'd have to be like a private equity backed company to build a content team, to then go build a scheduling team, to then extract all that content. But you guys are doing this, and you're using some automation tools. So, Buffer, Hootsuite, Later, there's a bunch of different ones out there. If you're in the AI side, there's Brotato. But anyways, there's all these things where you can syndicate that out. So you're not doing a whole bunch of that all at once. I feel like I lost my video here.
You did.
You froze, but it's a very good still frame.
Yeah, I'm like,
you look confused.
Yeah. Come on, turn back on. Turn back on.
The editors will have to deal with this one.
How did that thing just crash? You can't.
That's the virtual cam, right?
Come on, work. Oh, come on, Elgato. Oh, you can turn off the camera while recording, but you can't switch cameras. Oh no. Why is that? That doesn't sound like a good thing. You know what? You're gonna try to unplug from here. Plug back in, just like I tell my in-laws. Is it on?
Yeah, that's like the best IT advice you can give.
Oh, what is going on? Sorry, guys. Okay, we're just gonna have to edit all this out.
No, it's okay. I'd rather it be you than us.
Okay. Oh, Elgato, you're failing me here. Yeah, it's not good, guys. It's going so well too. It just like blue light on it just turned off.
What happened?
It's like it's crashed.
Did the blue light just turn off? Both. So I know the other computer, I have an Elgato. I know if one of the wires either in the back of the camera or in the tower like get loose because it moves a little. The same exact thing. It's super sensitive. They have to do a better job with the C port in the back. Hi, pretty lady. We're still recording.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yeah, we're still recording. We're on.
There we go.
Cool. See me again?
Yep.
Oh, man. So we were talking about, hold on, let me just mark the clip right here. Clip, mark, 22. So we're talking about the social media piece, how to get content, how to distribute it. You guys would do giveaways where you encourage people to like, share, follow, all the things for entries. There's software
which we've all used. We've used. We've asked AI. We've asked a few different AIs, like what are the stuff with like the algorithm or ways to enhance our presence. And social media is a big one because sometimes it's not even the quality of work that might capture a potential customer's eye. It's like who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's like, we've had people reach out to us just because I did a funny post on Instagram or something. And they were like, yeah, we saw this and this is why we called you, which is great. But it's also good that we can then back up the service that we provide. So yeah, we've
hire authentic people, or people that remind them of themselves or don't take themselves too seriously, but do great work, and so putting yourself out on social media because it's very, very cheap and free, and easy. It does take time. But you guys have built a really cool system for using all of your current work to generate a whole bunch of cool content, which is really neat. Tell me a little bit about, as we talk about you guys starting to mature the business 2024, what made you pick House Call Pro out of all the things that are out there? What kind of drew you to it? How did you even know about it? How did you find us? Like, talk me through the journey. I always like to hear this.
So working for other people, I've used House Call Pro, Jobber, and Service Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Service Titan, everyone knows it's fantastic. It's great. It's also like $1 million. So there's that. And a lot of the stuff on it, you have to, in order to get your bang for your buck with Service Titan, so you have to be using everything it has to offer, which is a lot. It's a great platform, but you got to be able to use all that. And as a smaller company, you don't need 99% of that. Yeah. Really, what you need is to be able to communicate with customers, give estimates on the fly, and ideally take payments. Like that's like the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. So working in reverse, like you would have a house call pro and jobber. So that was like the original decision. It's like, which one are we going to use and why? Mm-hmm. Being able to give multiple estimates at once. I forget what the add-on is for that. I forget what we call it. The
tool and
yeah, the sales tool. Yeah, so being able to use that and the on my way automated text, like those little, they sound super little, right? But that was the differentiator between you and house call, you and jobber. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is what customers really like. So that's like the first. And then once you get in there, you start generating revenue, then you can look at the rest of the add-ons. Like what else can I kind of pull in? That's the best part. It's not like you have to pay $1 million and you get all the stuff that you don't need. It's like you can start small, and as you scale, it scales. That's very important.
Yeah, he showed it to me. And I mean, I've never done service work or anything like that. And it was really easy to use too, because again, I've never worked in the plumbing field. I've never worked in any service to use a software like this. And he asked me to reschedule a job or something. And I was like, I did it. So it was very easy to use, but I really liked all of the details that you can keep for a customer and how everything's super organized. And even their house and all of the details of their house and when it was built and like all of that stuff. And I don't know the other softwares if they do that too, but yeah, I thought it was really easy to use for someone that has no idea what they're doing, is just happy to be involved.
But I think that's it's not a small part about why, we do well, is because when you jump into it, it kind of looks like Google Calendar and you kind of know what each button does. And it's not like you have to retrain yourself completely like some of the other bigger enterprise tools out there where you have to spend months and months and months training. This is kind of like you can jump in and you can be dangerous out of the gate, day one, even if, you're not doing it on a daily basis. And so that helps when you're bringing new people in the business. You're a growing business. The training is easier. It just simplifies a lot of those pieces. What would you say? I love asking, and you can have a separate number each. Okay. So Kris has his own number and Jen has her own number. How'd you rate yourself from the 1 to 10? This is like your tech aptitude. 1 is you're like my in-laws who, don't know how to turn on their TV because it's not plugged into the wall. 10 being, you're this crack scientist at OpenAI right now on the bleeding edge. So between 1 and 10, how would you rate yourself, Kris? And how would you rate yourself, Jen?
You go first, because my answer is gonna be lower than yours.
I would say I'm probably like a 5 or a 6.
5 or 6.
Yeah, because once you start getting into it and then you start thinking about, well, what more can I do? And then you realize like there's a lot more that you can do, and I'm just not there, right? So like I know enough to be creative enough to try things.
Yeah.
Like right now I have, so Anti-Gravity does this, but I have Claude doing the same thing where I gave it a prompt. I took a picture of an old boiler and I said, here's the new boiler that I want to install. I want you to go through this manual, source out all of the parts, then log into my plumbing supply account and then put everything in the shopping cart for me. And it did that, but it took, a lot of back and forth and, it needs a lot of tweaking, but like once I saw I could do that, now we can do the same thing. I can use the same API tool to pull from House Call Pro and go directly onto Facebook now, like the social media. So you can do a lot more. So once you start learning that, you start seeing the real runway.
Okay, so I would rate him an 8, and I would rate myself a 5.
You're humble bragging with that number, buddy. Like that's more in the 7 to 8 range.
He's like typing out code and stuff, and like he's just. I feel like I have no vocabulary. I feel like I don't know where my brain went after having a kid, and he's just like making up his own code and trying to figure out how to move stuff around. He's more of an 8. I'm more of a 5. So
there you go.
just Don't listen to
You know
him.
what? You're a 10 to
He
me.
doesn't, thank you. Not in the tech department though. I appreciate that. Not in the tech department though. And I will say, like, I am techie because I used to be a general manager of a really busy gym and we had a tech support thing and I didn't even need to call them. And it wasn't like, oh, did you unplug it and plug it back in? It's like, no, figure it out. But I would still only rate myself, a 5. But yeah, he's really ambitious with his tech.
I think it goes back to
skills.
the creativity, and being willing to try even when it breaks, because you have these breakthrough moments when you're like, oh my God, it did it. Sure, it took some babysitting and, we could make it better and we could improve it and teach it some things to make it do its thing, right? But like, just even trying or thinking that's possible and then giving it a shot, I feel like that's a great piece. That's just like a golden nugget just for other business owners that are like, it's okay if it doesn't work out of the box, but like try it. And it might not work now, but maybe in 6 months from now, it's really going to work really well, because things are moving fast. Things are moving fast. And if you're not trying, you will start to kind of fall behind. And this is where, you could have shaved an hour off, if you sold a bunch of installs and now you got to go source all the parts and do all that stuff, log in the supplier, push all the POs, you could have been spending that time with the kids, and letting AI do that. But like you couldn't let AI crawl into the crawl space, like go figure out, oh, there's a bunch of moisture coming from this one beam, but that's not coming from the place I'm supposed to be fixing. Like that takes human creativity, knowledge, experience, things that isn't documented online that AI is built on.
Yeah.
What do you guys say is like and you can each have a vote if you want, or you can combine your vote. What do you think is the most underrated feature of House Call Pro? What's something that we don't do a good enough job talking about or marketing or even putting out there that if you're a pro that's not using House Call Pro, or even if you are a pro that's using House Call Pro and you don't know about it, you'd be like, I should go check that out.
It's super simple. It's the communication aspect between us and the customer. Like the on the way text, the whole text thread back and forth, the phone calls, like every customer that has never used like a company that uses House Call Pro that we have, every new customer says that's what they appreciate the most is the communication. And it's just in an app. Like we didn't make it up. Like you guys did. And that is I think the biggest thing. Customers love that. They love that. Like we're on our way, estimates completed. Here's your invoice. It's like, they're involved every single step of the way with timestamps, a backup, like everything. That we get more compliments about that than anything else.
Yeah, and I don't really use House Call Pro. However, when he's busy and he's working, I don't even bother him. However, at the very least, because I get notifications on my phone. So it'll tell me where he is. Not that I don't believe him of where he is, but so I don't need to worry about him. It's like, okay, I'm on my way. Or if a customer is reaching out and he doesn't respond, I can then reach out to the customer if it's like after hours where the VAs aren't working. I can be like, hey, I just tried to contact him. He's probably busy. He'll get back to you as soon as he can. So yeah, even though I don't really use it that much, that is a big, even for me, not a customer. I think it's a great feature.
Yeah. It's nice to have everything all in one place too. So if someone wants to jump in, they can, and they can act on behalf of the business rather than it all being on your one phone tied to your personal line. Or even if you have a business line, if someone doesn't have your phone, they can't do anything on your behalf. You're stuck. And like you said, having that transparency helps build the trust, which helps you sell bigger, better jobs because you're a more trustworthy company and you're building the value even before you step into the door. So when you step in the door to deliver an estimate, you're like, I know why that estimate's maybe higher than some of the other estimates I got, but like the quality of service is so much higher. And I think a lot of people appreciate that, when they're out there, getting stuff done for the house and plumbing. Some of it is like, you got to get it done. And some of it's like, I would like a tankless one day, but I can't afford it. Like I want to get some estimates, and then maybe I drop, $5,000 or whatever to go get it down the road. So that's super neat. Well, and what would you say is your favorite feature that you're like, darn it, I should have been using this right out of the gate? What's something that you stumbled into, discovered, or maybe you had it from the day one, but what's something you think is kind of the favorite part? Could be an add-on, could be part of the core platform.
I mean, we talked about the sales tool. That's one, for a business, I think that's one of the most important things is to have that. But I think something that I stumbled on that I don't use enough is the marketing tool itself, like for the postcards. So just mailing out a ton of postcards, I don't think that is like the most effective way, but being able to funnel those into specific types of customers, and like if you're using the tags properly we can now filter out like, all the boiler installs that we did, that we can just send an automated postcard, email, SMS message, like, hey, it's time to maintenance your system. Like that type of stuff, doing it like every month, that is super helpful. And you keep your customer pool still there. You keep them very happy. Now, we just had a meeting with your AI team for House Call Pro yesterday, and we were talking about some of these ideas too. It's the same concept. Like that, I think, can be a super useful tool if you just like invest like more time and energy into it. So that's like what we're trying to do. I do like how you added the feature to be able to like get all new customers. Like you put in the zip code, say like, here's the amount of homes. You can just send postcards to all these people that you don't. I think that's super helpful because the companies have been doing that for a while, but now it's in House Call Pro. It's like already integrated. That is how you grow, getting new customers.
That's right.
Or you just show up at their house and knock on the door, which they don't like that.
I painted homes during college to pay for college, and so I'd knock doors. I do really well at that. But yeah, there are some people that have like, didn't you see the no soliciting sign? I'm like, I'm not soliciting. I'm just putting out a crack in your fascia board. It's going to give you an estimate for it. We're like, that's soliciting. My fault there's a crack on your fascia board. But look, like sometimes things in the real world work really well. That isn't only just digital, and you can cut through some of that noise. And if you can target it really well with the right message, you're going to get a higher conversion, even if it is a more expensive form of marketing. It's something that becomes more of a dial. You can dial up or dial down, versus some things are just uncontrollable, right? Which is just like general demand, people stumbling into you. This has been super fun. We're like way over 30 minutes already. I know we had some tech issues here, but what's one piece of advice? You each have to give one piece of advice. What piece of advice would you give your younger self 10 years ago? So if you could jump into the DeLorean and go back 10 years, not 20, but like 10 years, what would you tell yourself? What would you tell yourself?
Start today. Like, no matter how scary it is, like, start today. There's not gonna be a right time. It's not gonna be easy later. Do it now. So 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What about you?
That Jesus loves me. That's a whole other piece of why we started. We didn't get into it, but yeah. That's what I would tell myself 10 years ago.
Yeah. This has been an amazing show. Thank you guys so much for sharing all of these just golden nuggets across all the things. If you guys want to go find Kris and Jen online, just go point your browser over to the Boston kind of rough area and just type in General Plumbing with a J. And I guarantee you they will show up because they've done the SEO and AEO work and GEO work and all the work that they have. Go follow their social media because you might be inspired. You got probably some cool ideas flowing out of there. Thank you guys so much for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it. And for everyone else that's listening, we do these weekly. We have the Superpro podcast on, amazing guests just like Kris and Jen. If you liked what you heard, you're not using House Call Pro, you want to do it, you can go to housecallpro.com/podcast deals. You can always text me direct. We're a big company, but I love hearing from customers or maybe wannabe customers. 858-215-1512. Thank you, Kris and Jen. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by House Call Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. House Call Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with House Call Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.